Hi there, welcome to our Early Years Centre. I'm going to tell you about something that we do, something that's very important to our work. But to do that, I actually need to explain what is happening inside my head right now as I talk to you on camera. You see, what I'm using now are what we call higher cognitive processes. I'm drawing things from my distant memory, working with them in my working memory so that I can tell you a story that makes sense. It's in sequence. Also, I'm controlling myself. I'm using self-regulation. I'm ignoring distractions and I'm putting effort into this. Now, some people say that these processes are all controlled by one particular part of my brain. We call it the executive centre. That's sort of true, but if you put wires in my head, you would notice that little systems all over the place are lighting up all at once. It's a coordinated process. These different parts of my brain all developed at different times while I was growing up. Some of them took less time to develop than other parts. But all that development had something in common. One, it was sequential, meaning that the later bits depended on the existence of the earlier bits. It was also cumulative, meaning that complex bits that came later depended on simple bits that came earlier. Before I go on, let's go for a walk. All that development of brain cells I was talking about earlier started before I was even born. I was inside my mummy's tummy. Then I appeared into the world. Mummy, pay attention to me. I gave her certain cues, and fortunately my mother was very responsive and she replied in the appropriate way. We call that serve and return. It works in the opposite direction as well. Now we know that this process, serve and return, is what drives the brain development in the early years of life. This means that by the time I was the age of this little fella here, my brain was 80% the size it is now. And I can say that that little girl there has got more brain cells inside her head than those contained here. So, the first 3 years of life, very important. Serve and return, driving brain development. But it's not the end of the story. Because we now know, neuroscience has proven, that play, exploration, and the types of stimulation that this provides is critically important for 4 and 5-year-olds. Because that's about the time when the brain is deciding what brain cells to discard, what it's going to do with the ones that it keeps, forming them into complex little systems, and how to join them together. And we now know that that process is vitally important for these higher cognitive functions I was talking about and self-regulation. There's a problem. Nowadays, mums and dads are increasingly busy, increasingly distracted, increasingly stressed. One of the main sources of that distraction is this thing. So, we have invented a little way of distracting parents from the distractions, if you see what I mean. We encourage parents to tell stories, to bring the world alive for their children. They could be chopping carrots in the kitchen. Tell the child what you're doing. Help the child explore, and if you do that, you'll discover that you are distracted from all those stressors, all those distractions. We call it enchantment.
O, господин Мички. O, аз bicie morkov, аз много bicie morkov.